Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Over 50 and Flourishing. I'm your host, Dominique Sachse, and today's topic is, are you running from something or toward something? This is a podcast episode that was actually sparked by a conversation that I had recently with my dear Court. And we were just talking about the nature of busyness. And sometimes we wear busyness like a badge of honor. You know, is all of our productivity meaningful, or are we sometimes filling our lives with sort of mindless busyness in avoidance of something? And it was an interesting heart-to-heart talk. I would say it's two women who are very career-oriented, and you can maybe relate to this, whether you're a working woman or a mom, or maybe there was a season in your life where it was go, 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 and hard to say no, no, no. What was the driving force behind that? Was it the need to please? Was it the perfectionist syndrome? Was it just that you couldn't sit alone for a few minutes in your own space and your own head? And then the question is, why? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about kind of the root causes of some of this, and we'll share a little experiment that we're going to take part in toward the end of the podcast, but we hope you enjoy this heartfelt, sincere, and meaningful conversation. If you need a little digestive support, Ritual has you covered. Symbiotic Plus, that's what I take. It's a 3-in-1 supplement of clinically studied pre, pro, and postbiotics to support a balanced gut microbiome with daily use. It is designed with a delayed release capsule to get to the colon, not the stomach. The colon is the place where probiotics survive and grow. So get your gut going. Support a balanced gut microbiome with Ritual's Symbiotic Plus. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/over50. That's ritual.com/over50 for 25% off your first month. Spring is here, and the shift in seasons can sometimes leave our skin irritated, especially if we have sensitive skin or conditions like eczema. But what if your skincare routine could actually help calm your skin and reverse the signs of cellular aging at the same time? Enter OneSkin. Founded and led by an all-women team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code OVER50 at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code OVER50. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Ladies, we need fiber. Fiber diversity supports a balanced gut microbiome, yet only 5% of Americans get enough fiber in their diet. Well, the PhD microbiologists over at ZBiotics understand that 95% of Americans don't get enough fiber. So they genetically engineered a probiotic drink mix called Sugar to Fiber. Every day, I just put a pack of Sugar to Fiber in my morning smoothie, and I love knowing that I am supporting my gut health with this incredibly simple routine. As I get older, gut health becomes more important to me, and that's why I'm adding ZBiotics Sugar to Fiber to my daily routine. It helps me know I'm getting the diversity of fiber my body needs. Go to zbiotics.com/over50 and use over50 at checkout for 15% off any first-time order of ZBiotics probiotics. ZBiotics has a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're not satisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode. Hey, Court.
Hi.
The first Over 50 and Flourishing podcast in your apartment.
I know. Well, we did do one, your birthday episode last year. We did it in that apartment.
Right.
But first one in this apartment. Yes.
And everybody, oh my gosh, the burning question throughout every either podcast or YouTube video. It would be so random. I mean, I would do a video on, mascaras or whatever. When are we going to see Courtney's apartment tour? Or it would be something on whatever. There was always a question.
Every post. This is really great. When do we see where Courtney's living?
Yeah.
Which I love all the concern. It was such a journey to find this place and decide. And you guys only saw 3, but I think I looked at 23.
Well, and just the irony of your parents finding this place. And this was the last stop on their apartment tour
Literally,
for you.
the last one. It wasn't even supposed to be scheduled that day. It was at the last. They already looked at 3, and I was like, I just found this one. Please go look at it. And here we are.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I signed on it literally over FaceTime and never saw it. But you did that for my last one.
I know. That's
you
true.
You FaceTimed me, and I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. So
I feel like we're christening it with a bottle of champagne.
Yes, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, happy to. I realized that I haven't been on the pod since like November.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people always ask. I'm telling you what, they are deeply connected to you, and they understand the symbiotic nature of this relationship.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that this audience, they love you.
I love them.
I know. And they follow you, and they care for your well-being and how life is. And so it's neat to have you back. It's neat that you're willing to be included. I mean, you could, as a producer, sit there and say, yeah, you know what? I'm just doing the behind the scenes stuff, and you can find somebody else to be on camera with you. That's not my game. But you're willing to be open and have really neat conversations with me, and to open up your life and your home. So thank you for that.
Always, I'm here. Go with the flow.
Yes.
Jack of all trades. Do it all.
What did I say? Jill of all trades, master of none.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, and it's funny because I think, they obviously only see so much. So I think sometimes they think when I'm not on camera that I'm just not around. When it's like Dom and I talk every single day, multiple times a day. So still around, just, it's seen less lately for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so, happy to be back on and chatting. And this conversation we're about to have today.
Wow. It's a doozy. And, in the intro, everybody got a taste of what's to come. But this podcast episode was kind of prompted by a conversation you and I were just having.
Just about life and organically and just catching up, and then it just turned into like
a deep philosophical, because we're both very similar in our busyness, and we're both, I would say, workaholics.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can dive into that. I mean, I do it because I love it. It provides me so much joy.
Yeah.
And we can get lost. I mean, it's so funny, just being in your house, for instance, and watching you operate, you're constantly consuming.
Always.
So you're consuming media, you're consuming information online, your TikTok, your Instagram, you're getting ready with your makeup, and you're listening to a podcast.
Always.
I mean, you're always in.
Always. Even the other night, went to a podcast tour and was like, I was texting Dom from the tour and like taking pictures, and I'm like, oh, like
we should do this.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So always on. But again, it's not like, for me, it's not draining because I love it.
Right.
And so, but it's like, is there a line like where my brain maybe shouldn't be thinking of that all the time?
And it's funny you say that, because as we were getting dressed and putting on our makeup today, you saw me getting ready, and I was just quietly in the bathroom. And you said,
I didn't even think about that.
Well, I did. And I'm like, oh, that is so perfect for this episode. And you said, Dom, don't you want to hear something? Don't you like what, music?
So
or do you want to And I'm like, well, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it. And you said, well, I always listen to something when I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, I'm generally not. I mean, I may have some ambient music in the background that's kind of low, but not something that's stimulating me. I'm actually kind of focusing on what I'm doing, kind of in the quiet.
See, do you know what's so funny that you say that? Because I am truly the exact opposite. And in the even if I'm traveling, I will put a podcast on my phone. If it is quiet, I'm like tweaking. Like I cannot. I feel like there's almost like too much pressure because I only have one thing to focus on. I'm like, something needs to be happening. Something else. Like I can't.
You can't hang.
Just sit there and focus on one thing. And then even when it comes to work, it's like there's this email, there's this to be worked on. My to-do list is always a mile long. But that's how my brain operates. And,
right.
And even something is getting ready in the quiet.
You have a hard time with the quiet.
Yeah.
So yes, it's prompting a big conversation that we're going to have now, and then also an experiment, which everybody is going to find out about at the end of this podcast, that we will also encourage you to take part in as well, because I think this is a neat opportunity for all of us in our busyness to unplug. And how do we feel in that moment? How do we feel when we say no to our phones, our emails, our calls, our social media? I mean, really unplug. Now, that doesn't mean to sit isolated in your apartment and you've got to read a book all day.
Sure.
Although, which, I mean, it would be great, because how often do we get to sit in the quiet and read? But
then I'm like, would it be great? Yikes.
But see, that's the thing.
me.
How are you going to feel in that space? And yes, I mean, we may, need to run out or do something, but not to schedule our day so that we're only doing stuff to avoid the quiet and avoid the lack of conversations that we're having. So it's going to be fascinating. But in the meantime, it's kind of a deep dive and an analysis of, are we running from something or are we running towards something? And you and I both talked quite at length about that.
Yeah.
And I would have to say, in my early years, like you, I was very much, I felt like, running towards something.
Yeah.
Super ambitious, super goal oriented, had things mapped out, planned out, benchmarks, go, 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 go. But I also knew that in all of that, there was going to be burnout. And so I remembered leaving a little bit of time in there to be able to just hang, be quiet in my apartment, sleep in or whatever. And
I'm forgetting that part.
It was rare. It was rare. But I mean, honestly, people have heard my story. And I mean, I would literally work overnight shifts and then I would work during the day. And I was constantly going. Yeah. And it was this push and this need to succeed. And we were all even talking about the generational aspect of that my generation was very, very kind of 80s, climb the ladder.
Yeah.
Your generation's way more into self-care language.
Yes.
And like mindfulness.
Balance.
And balance.
Yes. Like your work should be your life.
Yeah.
Which somehow I think that skipped over me.
Well, I feel like you're more of my generation. Yeah. You are.
Yeah. Just wanting to be hungry and go to the next level and the next level and the next level. And, even, I think just even in life, like, you've all heard that I've moved like 11 times in the last 11 years. And it's just always, I feel like once I get somewhere, it's like, okay, well, what's next? What's the next best thing? What's this? What's this? Even like with you and I, like since we've been working together, it's like every year we've added something on, whether that's, hey, the goal is this, or we're going to start a podcast, or we're going to go on a podcast tour, or we're going to do group travel. Or in my mind, I'm like, no, it doesn't end. There's not like an end point. Like once we reach that goal, it's like, what's the next goal? What's the next thing? And I operate like that in, work, but I also operate that in my daily life.
Yeah. And that's what really got us going because, we live such different lives. And so you're in the heart of Houston. And it's weird because I know your experience. I know your reality here and what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I'm, kind of in Sleepy Town, Texas. And my reality is super quiet and chill and calm. And I can hear birds in the morning and I sleep in and I read and blah, blah, blah. And you were like, yeah, I would die.
Yeah.
That would be hard for you.
Yes.
And so we started talking about, well, why do you think that is?
Isn't that the big question that we're maybe going to unpack today?
Yes.
But I don't, like, again, it's like the quiet kills me. Like even at night, I sleep with a little fan that makes a noise. Mm-hmm. I am literally never in quiet. Like hearing a pin drop like terrifies me. I can't do it. Like I am not an anxious person. I don't have anxiety. Maybe if there's like a big thing or something, but for the most part, cool, calm, collective. I feel like I'm way more type B. Like,
oh, you are not type B.
You don't think so?
No.
What?
You are type A.
I feel like type A that was
for
like
ambitious.
Boom, 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 boom,
yeah, that's
boom,
you.
Boom. But I feel like type A is like, have to have a plan, have to do this, have to do this. See, I feel like we're similar in this way because we're really type A about a lot of things. But like, for example, like we've said, like we can travel together so well because we're not type A when it comes to traveling.
Well, this is true.
It's like, oh, we have the tickets booked.
We're good. Maybe we're type B vacationers. Yeah,
but you know what? That's a good point.
I'll give up my type A.
Yes. No, because I feel like even like when we went on like the Greece trip and now even like the Ireland trip, like it's like we just showed up, and everyone else was like very concerned about the itinerary and where we're going and what we're doing. And I mean, we just made sure we had like appropriate outfits. That was about it. We're just gonna show up, and people were asking us questions, and I'm like, you have to ask Trove Trip because I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm just gonna show up and do it and have fun. And that's how I traveled to Italy. My friends planned it, and I just showed up, and everyone's like, how did you just show up? You don't even know what you're doing day to day.
Yet another thing we have in common.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And,
I do.
But then yes, when it comes to work, it's like, no, I have to be in control. You and I even talk because there's been a lot of people that have reached out to me like, oh, are you hiring? Or, do you need an assistant for all of this and whatnot? And I'm like, I don't know if I could ever. Like, I don't know if we necessarily need it right now. I mean, we could always use more help. But to give up that control because I just know everything and I know how to do everything. And if I don't, I'll figure it out. Or I know the right person and I know the history of you and your content. Like, it would... Oh my gosh, I could not relinquish that control.
Kind of like what I went through when I handed over the baton of all the editing of the footage, because that was my background. I mean, before you entered the picture, I was editing all of my content, and I just thought, well, from 30 years in TV news, I know how to edit, I know how to tell a story, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, in order for me to get better at being a creator and coming up with ideas, and not losing myself in the weeds in editing, which I easily did. Yeah. And besides, I was, doing basic iMovie software, and it's like, come on, honey, there's better out there.
We stepped it up a little bit.
We stepped up our game.
Okay, but let's take a quick break, but just sitting here thinking about your question of like, why am I like this? I feel like I maybe came up with something, so we can maybe dive into that when we
I'll be so curious to hear what that is.
Okay. We'll be back right after the break.
Isn't it fascinating how much we're learning about our gut microbiome and how it is directly linked to our overall health? We are learning so much about its connection to mental health, immunity, and of course, digestion. If you need a little digestive support, Ritual has you covered. Symbiotic Plus, that's what I take. It's a 3-in-1 supplement of clinically studied pre, pro, and postbiotics to support a balanced gut microbiome with daily use. What I love about it, it's just one capsule. It has a wonderful minty essence. You can take it any time of day with food or without, and I am feeling so much better. And like I said, it is designed with a delayed release capsule to get to the colon, not the stomach. The colon is the place where probiotics survive and grow. So get your gut going. Support a balanced gut microbiome with Ritual Symbiotic Plus. Get 25% off your first month at ritual.com/over50. That's ritual.com/over50 for 25% off your first month. Spring is here, and the shift in seasons can sometimes leave our skin irritated, especially if we have sensitive skin or conditions like eczema. But what if your skincare routine could actually help calm your skin and reverse the signs of cellular aging at the same time? Enter OneSkin. You've heard me talk about them before. I have tried the whole line from OS1 face, eye, body. I've now tried the tinted sunscreen. I love their products. No irritation whatsoever, but I know that they are working on a deep cellular level. OS1 works at that cellular level to improve key aging biomarkers while reducing the visible signs of aging, including lines, wrinkles, and sagging skin. Founded and led by an all-women team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. Get 15% off with code OVER50 at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code OVER50. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Welcome back to Over 50 and Flourishing. We are diving into a really important subject, I think, that women of all ages can relate to, and that is, are you running from something or toward something? And we're talking about just the nature of busyness and not being able to slow down and the discomfort we feel sometimes when we do slow down. There can be weirdness in that space, and we're questioning the why behind that. Why does it feel weird to not be doing something, to not be productive? And I've got a list of kind of talking points for us to get through. And, on the heels of what we were just talking about before break, number 2 on my list, I want to move up to number 1, and that is workaholism as emotional escape. Are we filling space to avoid discomfort, to avoid grief, loneliness, fear, or identity loss? And when was the last time you actually sat still and actually liked it? And then what happens when productivity becomes a coping mechanism?
Okay, that's actually insane that you're saying this, because that was going to be my answer as to why. And I think I am so deeply terrified that if I stop and actually maybe give some thought to things that have happened in my life, because I'm very aware, for the most part, I have a great life. I'm very privileged. I've worked hard. I'm happy, but it's not to say that I've gone through some things. And I don't think, I'm aware. I've never actually, I don't think, like, sat down and just, like, processed. I feel like after certain things happened, I'll give myself like a day or two to feel bad for myself. And then I feel so uncomfortable feeling sad that it's just like, go, go, go. If I'm busy, I don't think about it. If I have things I'm working towards or working on or people I'm hanging out with, and I don't have time to think or feel.
Yeah.
And a huge part of that is work and just filling and going and going and going. And, like you and I have even talked about, like, oh yeah, one day, like when I'm with someone, or like how, like have it, like, maybe like have a family someday, like, you're going to be forced to slow down a little bit. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, you can keep it going for as long, trust me, you can keep it going for as long as you want to.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that we have to ask ourselves is, why is it so hard to feel uncomfortable? Why is it so hard to feel pain? Because it's equally as natural of a human response as joy, laughter, and feeling good.
But it's a bad feeling.
It is a bad feeling, but it's often, and you know this too, and it's been said, it is in the pain and the discomfort where we learn the most about ourselves and we grow. It's where the wisdom and the discernment comes from, and yet ironically, it is an area that we avoid at all costs simply because we don't like feeling bad in the moment.
Yeah.
Even though the potential outcome from that can be so great and such an amazing trajectory in our lives to get us through something, that sometimes the avoidance prevents us from getting through it. We just keep masking it, avoiding it, and then it sort of festers in behavior, it festers in thought processes, choices, and all of that. So it's like, why is pain avoidance top of list? Why do you think that is? It just feels bad?
Yeah, I think, joy and happiness, those are feelings that you want to feel. Everyone, I think it's pretty universal. I know not everyone can or will, or always feels that, but everyone wants to be happy. I don't think you talk to one person that's like, I don't want to be happy. Like, of course everyone wants to be happy. And for me, if I can fill my time with things that make me happy and just avoid those bad feelings, I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel sad. I'm an inherently always okay, good, bubbly person. And again, feeling anything other than that makes me crawl out of my skin. Like, the second I have a second of downtime to actually, like, process maybe something that's maybe not so great in my life, I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. We talk about all the time. Like, I don't like getting emotional, especially around people. I'm just...
You're the tough girl.
I'm just okay. I'm good. I'm okay. And that's even to say, it's like, I don't like getting emotional in front of people, but I also don't like getting emotional even on my own.
Sure.
Like, if I feel it coming on, I'm like, okay, next subject. What are we talking about? You and I were talking yesterday, and I was just like, okay, we don't have to keep talking about this. It's okay. We can move on. Like, and it's like, okay, anyways, this thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, it's, I think sometimes we don't want to discover the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we cut, there's like the kill switch, because we're afraid to speak the truth or think the truth or feel the truth.
Yeah.
And so if we cut it, it's like, I don't have to deal with the truth. I can make my own truth. But the truth is the truth. I mean, it's stuff that happens to us, stuff that we're thinking that's real that we're not acknowledging. And I'll share an example with me not that long ago. I was home and Vic was traveling. So it was a weekend. And it was really quiet. like really, really quiet.
So yeah, because right now is also a huge adjustment period for you.
Huge.
Like,
I mean,
we're talking about me running around, but you are not running around anymore.
Exactly. Which is a big reason why it's so great to have this conversation, because we're both coming from two totally different sides of the spectrum here. And literally, as I'm with Court in her apartment and in this area, this was my life. And this was a very active, busy, social life. I mean, my mom was in the same building as me right over there, or one building away. I would call her, walk to her, see her almost every day. Holly was in the same building, friends. I mean, I was always milling about. I could always find something to do if I wanted something to do.
Or even, I've noticed about this area, even when you're walking around, you just run into
people. And it's so intense of a social scene here that I found myself when I lived here unplugging and hiding away in my apartment and just getting away from it because it was overwhelming to me. So now like I said, I'm in little Sleepyville, Texas, in my quiet house.
and fairy tale town.
It is very much a fairy tale town. And I love it for that it really allows me to unplug. But I was having one of those days where I was too unplugged. And I was like, whoa, it's quiet. And then I thought, well, what can I do? And my yoga studio, the classes, I missed like all the classes. The friend that I've made at church was out of town. There was nothing for me to do and nowhere for me to go to fill that time. And I thought, all right, you're just going to sit in this and you're going to process and you're going to feel the fact that you feel lonely right now.
Yeah. I don't even like hearing about that.
You're going to feel the fact that you miss your husband. You miss your old town where you knew everybody, you knew everything, and you could make a call and in 2 seconds be doing something. You're going to sit here and you're going to feel the quiet, because you can't sit there and say on one hand, oh, I love this so much. I love this retreat. I love this quiet, and yet be resentful for it at the same time.
And I think that's really honest too.
It's very honest.
Ever since, you moved to Dallas, it's been like, oh, I love Dallas. But I think it's really honest to talk about the fact that it's like, yeah, no, but of course I miss Houston. Of course I miss this. Of course. And they're just completely different lives, especially since leaving Merritt Street, because that filled up so much of your time that, you didn't really have time for a social life or to miss it. You didn't even have time to miss Houston, really.
At all. And talk about busyness again, because that was a job in the morning. And then I came home to my job in the afternoon. I had no time.
And you just had to sleep.
For quiet. Yeah. It's like fit in Vic and love on each other and then go to bed.
Yeah.
So now suddenly life is completely different. And to your point, I'm not in Dallas. I'm not in Fort Worth. I'm in between. So it's way more suburbia and quiet. So I honestly just had a day, and I was even thinking to myself, oh my gosh, well, I could always just get an apartment in Houston, and I could come, once a month, and that way if I wanted to see people, and then I started thinking about that. I'm like, well, wait a second, is that a reactionary thought? Is that a Band-Aid? Because right now we're just feeling quiet? Or is this something that you really, really want for yourself? And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to feel this and I'm going to process this and I'm going to be sad in the moment and quiet in the moment and lonely in the moment. And that's going to have to be okay for now.
Yeah.
And that was a weird thing for me because I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to my quiet time is my peace, my reading, and I go to it because I need it. Yeah. I'm so burnt out,
You're craving it.
I'm craving it. Now it was served up to me at a time when I was craving social interaction, friends, fun, activities, getting dressed up, and it wasn't available to me. And I remember even having a conversation with Vic about it, and he's like, he felt bad, and he's like, what can I do? And I said, you can't do anything. You can't fix this for me. This is me adapting to my new life. And he's like, well, I don't want you to regret it. And I said, I don't. I adore it.
Yeah, of course.
I love it more, but I'm just kind of feeling these pings, and that's natural. That is a natural releasing and letting go of. And I would not be human if I didn't feel those attachments and those associations and that degree of missing things. But it also, as I let myself get through it and not try to run and do stuff, I got to kind of see it for what it was and own it and understand it and not be embarrassed by it. And then I could say, okay. And now it's so funny because I'm here with you and I'm in the heart of everything. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get an apartment. You know what?
That's why you have mine. You got your apartment.
I do. But I'm telling you what, it's like, it's perspective. And, you know, and I'm here and it's like, I hear all the cars and the noise and the this and that. I'm like, I love where I am now. And I can come here anytime and hang out, but it's not running from something. I just needed to sit where I was, maybe so that I could have a greater appreciation for where I was.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. And it's so funny because I have a very similar story, but reacted in the exact opposite way. It was, I think, like 2 weeks ago, and it was, I think, only like my second Saturday in Houston. And so I'm like, friends, what are we getting into? What are we doing? Let's have fun. Let's go out. Let's whatever. And literally everyone was busy. Everyone was busy, or everyone was out of town, and just nobody could do anything. And so I'm sitting in my apartment, and I'm like, I want to go. I want to do. I want to have people over. I want to something, you know? And I was here. And for no good reason, chugged an energy drink because I said, I'm doing something today. Like, I was not okay with not doing anything. And reached out to a friend that I haven't seen in a long time. And she's like, oh my God, yeah, my dinner plans just got canceled. Let's go out to dinner and have drinks. And I'm like, oh, yay! And I was so excited and ran and got ready. And I was just like, yes, I have plans and I can get dressed up and I can go out. And it was just a void that I so badly needed filled. Obviously, it would have been okay if it wasn't, but it wouldn't have been just me like happy about it or sitting in the quiet. It would have just been me like scrolling on TikTok all night or like FaceTiming one of my friends in New York or like it would have been filled somehow, maybe not in the way that I wanted it to, but yeah, my solution to that was like, I have to make plans tonight. Like, I will find someone to make plans with.
Right. Which is a running from something. In that case, we're gonna dissect what Courtney is running from. We're gonna get to the heart of the matter. If it kills me, I'm gonna save you so much money in therapy. You have no idea.
But how did so that night though? That day that you were going through that, did Vic come home that day, or did you have to spend the whole night by yourself?
Oh, I spent the whole day and whole night by myself. I was completely alone.
And when you woke up, how did you still feel that way? Like
I felt better. It was Sunday and I watched church online and that immediately made me feel better. And then what did I do? Maybe I did some gardening. I did stuff that I love to do in solitude, but it provides purpose for me. And I don't see it as busyness. That's my creativity. So I wound up doing that. I was still alone. You know, I mean, Vic would call and would text and whatnot. We would keep in touch throughout the day. But I just found myself doing things, and I found myself just feeling better about it. It was like I had to get through that day and night and live it, breathe it, feel it, own it, and not immediately try to find an answer to it, which I think is the hardest thing.
Yes. And do you think that because if I was in that situation, my solution, which I did experience in Dallas, and I did do this, was I need more friends. I need more friends. And then I started hanging out with people at Merritt Street. I met people outside of Merritt Street. Like when I did like a little going away party myself, I think there was like 10 to 15 people, which I was like, wow. And that was even not everyone even showed up. And I was like, wow, I've been here for a year and look at all of my, I don't know. I'm like, do I place like my value on the amount of people surrounding me or how busy my schedule is or whatever. But so like when you were okay, was it like, oh, I was okay and now we're good to go? Or do you think like, oh, I actually would like to meet more people here and make new friends?
I mean, clearly I would love to get more plugged into the community. Yeah. And I've already met, Vic has a neat friend group and we all go out for dinner every Friday night. And they're lovely, lovely people. And I've met a wonderful woman through church who I adore. And then, you know, I've met Fanshin, but she's kind of in Fort Worth and she's really busy with her charity. And then a lot of my friends from Merritt, you know, have left and moved on and don't live in the area anymore. So it's, it's finding ways to get myself plugged into the community and just have to look for those opportunities, look for those, in my yoga studio and find like-minded people. It's a process and it won't happen overnight. Sure. But I don't I don't feel like I have to force it. I just kind of want it to happen organically and naturally, and not feel like, again, I'm rushing to fill a void.
Yeah.
I really, at this stage of my life and how much I've worked in my life and how much of a priority I have made work, it is time for a bit of a priority shift. And it's not to say, I mean, you and I work like crazy. We work so hard, but I do have more gaps in my life, in my day, depending on how I choose to shoot and when I choose to shoot, to create more space. And I need to develop more comfort alone in that space. And it's new for me. I've never had that afforded to me in any way.
Because even like when you retired from the news here in Houston, you had like a 1-year gap between that and Merit, which you were doing obviously full-time this.
Yes.
But then also you were in Houston. So you had the social life to fill that
I
gap.
had my mother.
Yeah.
I had Holly here. I had a whole friend group that I had made in the building.
Yeah.
We had launched the podcast tour. There was a book before that. I mean, there was a lot of stuff still going on.
It was the first year of the podcast.
Yes.
There was a ton of stuff going on. And then it went from that year of like first year entrepreneurship. You can now fill your entire social calendar and you have all this time and you're surrounded by things and people. But then the following year, it was like move to Dallas, start Merit, and still continue on all of this. And so, I don't think you really had time to miss anything or feel that there was a void, because it was just, you had no voids. You had no time for a void.
I had no time for voids. And I think I was starting to feel what a lot of people feel when they move to different cities, is that newness and that new nesting feeling. That can be exciting on one hand, but also very nerve-wracking on the other. And it does mean a start over in many, many ways. And so I think I was finally starting to feel that, because I finally had the time to feel it. And that's what I just kept telling myself was, this feeling is okay. This is healthy. This is normal. This is what normal people feel when they move to, see? Boo. This is what people feel. And it's okay. It's just okay to be sad, to be longing, to be whatever. Now, it's not okay. Bailey's cracking me up. Her dog. It's not okay to lose yourself in that. It's not okay to get lost in that sadness and to allow yourself to sink into that and only focus on that and not get yourself out.
Yeah, you have to know how to cope.
You have to know how to cope.
Feel it, but then you need to figure out what's the resolution here.
How am I going to assimilate?
Yeah.
Right. What am I going to do? What's going to be that balance of purpose, as well as being able to, enjoy my quiet space without getting, lonely and sad.
Yeah, and the healthy coping and coming to a resolution versus me a lot of the time, that's just, I'm going to just keep running.
You're going to keep running.
So I don't have to feel it. And so if I don't feel it, then there's no coping. If I don't feel it, there's no resolution. If I don't feel it, then I don't have to deal with it.
Exactly. Which is right now your motif.
Yes, we do. But we do take a quick break.
Dang, man, time is flying.
I know, you have a whole list of things. So I will stop yapping and let you get through it when we get back.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Ladies, we need fiber. Fiber diversity supports a balanced gut microbiome, yet only 5% of Americans get enough fiber in their diet. Well, the PhD microbiologists over at ZBiotics understand that 95% of Americans don't get enough fiber. So they genetically engineered a probiotic drink mix called Sugar to Fiber. Every day, I just put a pack of Sugar to Fiber in my morning smoothie, and I love knowing that I am supporting my gut health with this incredibly simple routine. As I get older, gut health becomes more important to me, and that's why I'm adding ZBiotics Sugar to Fiber to my daily routine. It helps me know I'm getting the diversity of fiber my body needs. Go to zbiotics.com/over50 and use over50 at checkout for 15% off any first-time order of ZBiotics probiotics. ZBiotics has a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're not satisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode. You guys know I recently got hair extensions, and one of the first things my stylist said is, you need to sleep with a silk pillowcase to prevent matting and tangles. Well, I went right to the best, and that's Blissy. Not only will my hair not get tangled and matted, but I will see healthier skin in weeks. Silk is better than satin, which is made from synthetics. That's rough on hair and skin, and it's cheap for a reason. Blissy has anti-aging properties. It will reduce the fine lines and wrinkles over time. Silk eliminates frizz. It protects coarse and color-treated hair. It's dermatologist tested and recommended, also clinically proven not to clog pores. Naturally hydrating silk fibers, keeping skin moisturized at night, antibacterial and hypoallergenic. And bonus, my menopause ladies, naturally cooling and breathable. So no more hot flashes or flipping the pillow to the cool side in the middle of the night. I have seen such a big difference since I started sleeping with Blissy. I'm so happy. And because you're a listener, Blissy is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/over50pod. That's BLISSY.com/over50pod and use code over50pod to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and your hair will thank you. Welcome back to Over 50 and Flourishing, including Bailey, Courtney's dog.
I hope you can see her dog.
I think she may be out of the shot.
No.
She's amazing. She could really write the book on how to not overwork and feel good.
That's really good. That's such a great point.
Right?
She loves people, but she certainly loves her alone time.
She does.
Can
And can
chill
entertain herself.
and sleep all day, and she chases her tail, and she plays with her toys, and
I'm serious.
wow.
We need to study her.
We do. I thought she was just like her mom, but she's much better.
Teach mama, slow down. It's okay. So we're talking about, are you running from something or toward something in terms of busyness? Why are we so busy? Culturally, professionally, we were talking about workaholism as an emotional escape. And I've got a couple of other notes to talk about too. That is the illusion of productivity as purpose. Is being productive our purpose? How society glorifies being busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we productive or are we just distracted? I mean, look at what's happening with phones and social media. And I mean, you can easily waste an hour in the morning and an hour at night doom scrolling. So was that productive, that busyness? You're going to argue and say, that's my job.
Yes.
Yes.
Job.
Okay.
Could I do it less? Absolutely. But I do try to justify it.
I know that's what you tell me. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think you need an hour on each one. And then
an hour would be cutting it short for me.
Exactly. For me, it's like, oh my God, I've lost myself in Instagram. And then the distinction between ambition and avoidance. And we were talking about that a little bit. But I think too, society glorifies busy as you are a success, right? If you're not, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Laziness is frowned upon. People say expressions like to rest is to rust.
Yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Or I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a society where we are supposed to do, accomplish, and continue on in this state of movement. And I think only now has there been this kind of wave of realization that, this is unhealthy. Our cortisol levels are through the roof. We're not sleeping. We're not managing our wellness by being so busy. Yeah. So I think there is a bit of a cultural shift in that, but I would say kind of up till now and up till just the recent dialogues that have taken place, that wasn't the mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I think I saw this thing the other day that said, and I promise it ties into this, it said like, we were never meant to see ourselves. Mm-hmm. Like mirrors it's like a man-made thing. You know what I mean? Like just if you go off of just a man in a cave, you were supposed to maybe see yourself in a reflection of like the water, and that was it. And now it's like the way that we are living, it's not the way that we were intended to live, with on our phones and just cars and everywhere and just the busy. But I think my question would be, and to argue from my side, is what if that makes you happy? Mm-hmm. What if, because to me, there's definitely some days where I'm like, whew, right. I think I've reached my limit, which is very high. But for me, I like to fill my calendar. I like to be around people. I like to host, and I like to be with my friends, and I like to go out, and I like, you know what I mean? I love looking at my calendar, and it's booked and busy. In my next 10 weekends, I have something, or I'm going somewhere or celebrating someone. And so it's like, at what point is it a bad thing?
To me personally, if you're asking me that, I think it only becomes a bad thing if sitting in stillness is so painfully uncomfortable that you can't do it. And then you have to ask yourself, why can't I do this? Why does this feel so uncomfortable to me?
And that's where like the running away.
Yes.
See, people, this is why we keep her around. That's why she has a podcast.
Why? And then to do that and to really start asking yourself, because it's in that weird space where you really start thinking some wild, random, interesting thoughts. And that's where, to me, and we'll talk about some strategies, and I've done this before, that's where journaling can be such a window to the soul.
Yeah.
What's going on? What am I thinking about during this? What's coming into my head? What am I feeling? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling nervous? Am I feeling sad? What am I thinking about? Who am I thinking about?
Yeah.
Why am I thinking about, do I think about this when I'm busy, or is this only surfacing when I'm not busy? And if it's surfacing when I'm not busy, is it something that I haven't addressed?
Yes, to all the above. Yeah, and I think in terms of, your audience and the demographic and age group that they're in, I feel like this is really relatable because they are all probably reaching a point or close to a point or have overcome the point of this is when you are retiring or about to be retired.
Bingo.
And your life slows down. And I can't even imagine that. And your kids are out of the house. And yeah, you have grandchildren to maybe fill some time, but your life is really just becoming 100% your own. And what do you do?
Right.
Like, are you loving it and loving life and loving retirement? Because I feel like that's generally what you hear of.
Yeah.
Who's talking about like, no, this actually kind of sucks. Like,
right.
And does it? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But
yeah.
I just picture myself, I don't know, maybe in, 20 years I'll be worked out. But I'm like, yeah, what do you do?
Interesting question. And since you threw in the midlife perspective, some of those questions are relevance.
Yeah.
If I am not being productive anymore, am I still relevant? I have been defined, my moniker has been mom, news anchor, this, that. If I am no longer operating in those worlds, am I relevant anymore?
Or like, who
am I relevant to? Right. Who am I? So there's this
it's like an identity crisis.
Massive identity crisis, which is why a lot of people stay doing what they're doing because they'd rather be busy than actually identify and deal with where they are in life. And it's a scary and yet thrilling opportunity if it's seen as an opportunity, if you allow yourself that quiet time to get curious, but that's where that quiet time has to take place.
Yeah.
You've got to sit in that stillness of, if I let go of all these things that I've been doing and the way I've been doing it, and I'm quiet, maybe I'm going to hear something deep inside about this passion or this calling or this thing that maybe I did once that I ought to kind of explore. Or maybe, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think to your point, that's a lot of people maybe skipping that step.
Yes.
And that's where the very stereotypical midlife crisis
totally
comes into play, because maybe there is a lot of, you're very uncomfortable, and that's when you're running away from something and you're going to fill it with buying and going and doing or changing or whatever.
Right.
And you're not actually, reflecting on, why do I feel like this?
And are we allowing society to dictate our relevance? And then it comes down to a worthiness question. What is it that makes me worthy? Am I worthy based on what I do? Am I worthy based on all my titles? Am I worthy based on my salary climb, my rank? Or am I worthy based on the kind of person that I am and what I give to the world?
Yeah.
How am I defining my worthiness?
Yeah, that's a really, really good point.
It's a big one.
Yeah. Do you want to be known as like, oh yeah, Courtney has a great job and she makes money, and or it's like, oh no, Courtney is like a great person.
Yeah,
when you think
she
of
made
me,
impact.
That's who you think of. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's a really great point.
Yeah. Things to think about. It's fascinating. Another thing that I jotted down, and this applied to me as well, perfectionism and people pleasing. And sometimes we are constantly running because we can't say no. Can't say no. I don't want to be the one who lets somebody down.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel uncomfortable saying no and knowing that, somebody really wanted me for something. And in my need to refuel and recharge, I made that person feel bad. So I'd rather make me feel bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather string myself out.
Like, absolutely. What else do you do?
You say no. And you start to get comfortable with the no, because you're constantly saying yes, and you're staying busy in the name of people pleasing and trying to be a perfectionist, which is a no-win.
No.
Situation. I mean, the burnout that I suffered from that is wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic. Everyone says it's very cliche, but the whole put your oxygen mask on first, because you have to take care of yourself first in order to help or do anything or be anything for anyone else.
Correct.
And if you're not okay, then the people in your life, they'll probably be okay, but you're eventually just going to crash and burn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you will. And if you think that you're immune to that,
I am.
Newsflash,
I am.
Your body's going to tell you. And if you continue going at warp speed, something happens. It's funny how that works. Something happens to cut the pace, whether it happens to you or happens in your world. There is something that will happen for a reality check, because it's necessary. You'll absolutely run yourself ragged.
Yeah, I think for me, it's always like which is where I battle, like, oh, am I running away something or running to something? Because the running to in my mind is like, I'm running, like, by going and doing and whatever, I just think, I'm young and I'm single and I have no kids. So now is the time that I can book the trips and go everywhere, go out with my friends, or just randomly and spontaneously do things and fill up my calendar, because I know that one day that's not going to be the case.
Sure.
Or I hope that's not going to be the case. And so that's kind of where I'm like, no, I'm just, I don't know, I guess running because I can right now. Like, I have that ability and luxury in life that a lot of people, don't have at this age.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that are around me are either getting married. Not that that stopped you, but still, it's a different lifestyle than being single. And you don't have to check in or talk to anybody. Or they're having kids. And that totally is the biggest game changer of life. And I'm like, so why wouldn't I keep this up? Well, I still can.
Yes. And I understand that. I mean, you see your sister, and she's a mom with a young child, and that's a whole other level of busyness.
I was just going to say that that's very fair, because although you're more settled, there is like a whole other level of busyness and level of burnout that happens with that. Even if you are at home and you're working and you're at home, yeah. So maybe I'll just be burnt out forever.
I don't think you're burnt out, but
no, I don't think I am either.
But the thing is that
is it coming? Is the big question.
Is it coming? And I will tell you personally, one of the benefits of a burnout for me was a spiritual awakening. Honestly, I don't think that would have happened to me had I absolutely not reached my wits' ends in many aspects of my life. When you get to a point where you realize that you can do no more, and that all of this isn't on you, and that there is actually something greater out there, and you start to question it. And, people know my story. I did not come from a background of faith whatsoever. So I didn't even have that root system to even understand. But burnout brought me there. And that is probably one of the greatest gifts of running toward and from things, because I was doing both, probably in tandem. Yeah. I was doing both. And I was a perfectionist. I mean, I checked all the boxes, but once I could do no more, that's when it opened me up to something greater and far more beautiful and far more empowering than anything I could ever do on my own. So I'm grateful for burnout. And see, now here's the interesting part, because it's in the stillness that I have my relationship with God and my conversations and that quiet time. And so now I covet it, because that's my fuel. That's my fuel to go through this life. And I didn't have it before, and I wouldn't go back. Yeah. So, I mean, there are some things but what I'm saying is there will be an epiphany in your life where you're going to say, whoa.
Yeah.
And you haven't reached it yet.
No.
I know. Right now you're invincible. Right now it's like, I can do all things.
I can.
I know. But I'll be curious as we kind of journey through life together, what hits you when?
Yeah.
And what your epiphanies are.
Yeah. No, it is crazy. And it's also crazy too because we met 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, you met me when I was 25.
I know.
Which is so crazy. And now we're going on 30 this year. And so, yeah.
Well, 30 like, for you.
What?
58 for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's just funny. I feel like we've been with each other through like very like transitional times.
Very much
in
so.
life. You know what I mean? I feel like 20s, like especially like mid to early 20s to late 20s is like you're like a different person at that point. And you know, my time with you, it's been, you know, retirement and moves and jobs and you know, like it's been a crazy 5 years, you know? But for me, I'm like, this is awesome. Let's keep going. Go. Like, what are we doing next? And I remember even like at the end of last year, planning for this year, I'm like, okay, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And you're like, well, like, we have so much time. Let's do it all. Like, which obviously excited for, but you definitely, are like, let's be realistic and not kill ourselves, which
we can easily do, considering that that's your nature and that was my nature. And the other thing too is that I saw this in my mother. My mother wanted to work until the day she took her last breath. She hated sitting still. Now she could sit still, so she was comfortable in her quiet space, but she loved productivity. She loved people. She just loved interaction. I'm a creator. I love creating. I love this space. I'm a broadcaster. I'm a journalist. I love writing. I don't really ever see myself stopping.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to decide throughout life is the cadence, the pacing, and you know what platforms best suit me in what ways. But I don't ever see myself stopping. I just want to know that I, A, can always do if I choose to do, and B, can be wise with my pacing so that I have a healthy balance in my life of marriage time with friends, time alone, and time with work. I think that's where I've arrived, is having that equal balance among all things so that I am, running towards something, being a creator, but never feel like I'm running from something.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I'm sure maybe a lot of people can relate too, because I feel like when COVID happened, a lot of people started working from home. And I feel that almost made my need for busyness even more intense.
Yes.
Because I'm working from home. I'm literally with nobody.
So how did you handle that?
I got a second job. I got a second job at a bar because that was when I first met you, when I started working with the marketing agency. You were my client. I was fully remote, and I'm like,
I can't do this.
I need some social interaction during the week. And so I picked up a shift at the bar across the street, literally just to go talk to people. Because I was like, it's just boring. Yeah, I mean, I'm on my computer all day, or, you know, having virtual meetings or stuff like that. But there's just a sense of like, I remember when we got to Merit, like, it was super exciting, but I remember telling you, I was like, I'm excited to have like coworkers again because, you know, I love that it's just us, but I don't have coworkers,
all these interactions.
You know what I mean? And so just meeting all these other people and creatives and all the friends and all of that, I was like, wait, this is actually so fun and cool. And then, but we love it, just the two of us.
I know, we do. I mean, there are pluses and minuses to everything. I mean, I will say I do enjoy the collaboration in a work environment. I enjoy funny, I've been blessed, you know, in my business, just creative, smart people. And I've just loved my industry in general. So I miss that. I miss the banter. I miss the silliness. I miss it keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just keeps you in the game. And it does provide friendships. I mean, you had built-in friendships in Dallas because of work. Yeah. So did I because of work. You know, it's harder when you don't have that.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's even when I moved to Houston. My best friends, some of my best friends to this day, I met through work. And then same thing, you know, when we went to Merit, my friends up there were all through work. It's like, how else do you meet people? But yeah, just that I think the working from home aspect keeps me even wanting to be more social, because really Monday through Friday, at least 9 to 5, I'm sitting here by myself all day.
Right.
So then 5 o'clock hits and I'm like, what are we doing? Where are we going? You know, but.
Well, and you're right. I mean, that's a valid point. because a lot of people do work from home, and you do too. And yes, you are. I mean, we're plugged in and we're talking all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, you are, but there is something about interpersonal interaction.
Yeah, just in the office,
it's
at the
critical.
water cooler, or grabbing coffee in the morning, or you have that banter in person that you're just, it's like usually, virtually, it's like you're calling because of a question or because of a work thing. Like we're lucky enough that, we have conversations like this, and then I'm like, okay, anyways, we have to film this on Thursday. Back to work. I'm so sorry. But yeah, you don't get that same interaction from home. So because I'm here all day, again, I'm just ready to go.
Right.
Where, again, when I was at Merit, it was okay for me to go home and be by myself because I got like my fuel for the day by being
you're
around
a little overstimulated sometimes.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, societal changes and just the way we do things now do change that a little bit. But still, I mean, you can kind of get lost in your world and your work, and we can all run from things in different ways.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, so what do we do? I mean, is stillness strength? Can it be? I mean, what are some things that we can uncover in stillness? I mean, we all know as we talk about self-care and taking breaks and meditation and just kind of pausing, you can have creativity, you can have clarity, you can have healing in the quiet. I mean, that is the only way to heal, is the quiet. And learning to just be who we are instead of what we do. And that kind of gets back to that identifier. And that gets back to self-worth again, Like, what's our narrative? What kind of script are we writing about ourselves? If someone said, describe yourself, what would you say?
Like in a sentence, in like 3 words? Like,
well,
what's the parameters?
I don't know. I mean, just short, like a short little couple of liners.
Say, I don't know, creative, driven, passionate, funny, extroverted, talkative, kind, hopefully, thoughtful. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, I would agree with all those things.
Okay.
How do you feel saying those things?
I don't know. I'm really bad with like compliments or any type of praise. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, let's keep going. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hate especially like, because again, I know my dating life has been brought up on this podcast. Whenever it's like, describe yourself, or, sit down with someone, it's like, tell me about yourself. I'm like,
right.
I don't know. Let's talk about other things. But I'm like, oh, you are here to get to know me. So,
well, I mean, I think we learn a lot about ourselves and how we describe ourselves.
Yeah.
So it kind of provides a window to how do you see yourself, and the way you describe yourself is indicative of how you value yourself.
Yeah.
So it kind of it's like peeling back an onion a little bit without realizing what you're doing.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself?
I would say a woman of God who wants to make an impact, who loved as hard as she could love and tried as best as she could try.
Have you given that a lot of thought?
Only in that when I pray and I think about what matters, and that's what my prayer language does for me, is it breaks things down to what matters.
Yeah.
And I think about, who am I? Whose am I? And then what really matters to me?
Yeah.
What really matters. And that's kind of that's why I'm here, is to do that, to make people think, to question things, to be outside the box, to present a bit of a courageous mindset in approach to life.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to be pigeonholed, and I'm not going to be, have societal norms projected on me. I'm going to be authentic in how I was made. And I'm not a gatekeeper. I've always enjoyed sharing and imparting. And so this, to me, is an amazing way to do that. And no matter, and people, you and I talk about this all the time. It's like, my God, you take so many hits, the hater world out there. And I'm like, yeah, but they're the noisy ones. It's the quiet women, most of whom don't comment, don't say anything. if they get anything out of this conversation, from something that I've learned about myself or just something that was prompted by a conversation you and I had, and what we're talking about gets them thinking about their lives and feeling differently about themselves, then that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's kind of how I would define myself.
Yes, because I think what you just said is beautiful. And my question for you, because obviously we had wildly different answers to the question of who are you? I could really talk about it, and I'm giving just random words and whatever. Right. And your description, I think it's almost important that you have in like the business world, they call it like your elevator pitch, like of just almost like an elevator pitch on yourself.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like you've always... Obviously, it's been different over the years, but do you feel like you could always describe yourself that eloquently, or do you think that's something that's come with maybe like age and wisdom? I
would twofold. Part of it has come with me, and I would probably say it's why I was given opportunities at such a young age in such a big market. Yeah, honestly, I mean, there's no other reasoning for that. If I didn't have a certain level of communication skills, I never would have been offered a main anchor position on a morning show at a top 10. Never. It wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Now, I will say this, that when I was that age, I would have given my list exactly like you did. Yeah. I would have said the same things. Exactly. So I would say the wisdom and the discernment has come through age and just learning and growing and assessing where my value is. And I struggled with that. I struggled with value. I mean, I always felt like I had strong self-esteem, and I always felt really good at what I did. But the who I was definer was more of a list of work-derived attributes than the deeper, more meaningful ones. Yeah. Or things that were just kind of innately given to me, a certain level of kindness and graciousness. That's not something I work on. I mean, that's just who we are. Yeah. So I feel like, well, that was given to me. And then the rest of it, I worked and I achieved. And so I was putting all of my achievements as my list of definers. And I think that's just kind of what changed as I aged. Yeah. Was I just started seeing myself a little differently because I stopped becoming a news anchor. And I stopped doing a lot of the things that I did, even though it's still in the same realm, so to speak. My list of definers, I'm ambitious, but after going through marriages that didn't work, and just understanding better love and meaningful, true romantic love and what that looks like, it just, I don't know, it better formulated an answer because I learned so much through loss, through hardship, through good times, through bad times. Yeah. And that's going to happen to you, you know, when you allow yourself to feel those.
I'll start working on my elevator pitch. Like, I'm funny.
Well, me too.
Yeah. Like, what's yours? You just said it's beautiful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do better.
But look, no, because you're right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You are right where you're supposed to be in your journey. And there is nothing to feel bad about or any shame in that. Or that's where you are right now. And that's why, and everybody's is going to look and sound as uniquely different depending on who they are and where they are.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm really curious for the audience listening to this. Like,
yes.
What did pop in your head about yourself?
Yes.
Like, did you just list some words and feel like wildly uncomfortable? Like me, like I can't talk about myself. I don't know. Like who actually am I? Like, how do I describe myself? You know, right. Or do you are you like just so keen and, you know, innately aware of who you are and you can describe that, to which I think is really powerful.
And I would argue that happens in the quiet. Yuck. So, on that note, we have a challenge.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do. So this podcast is coming out on a Monday. You're listening to it on a Monday. As you know, on Thursday, I do a YouTube video, which tends to be tutorial based, but we do a lot of beauty, lifestyle, wellness, and all of that. And I thought, and as we were talking about this, because of course, in our initial conversation, it was, okay, well, could you do a day unplugging? I mean, like, could you do a day?
I think it started with you're like, you really need a day to unplug. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do that. I have to work and blah, 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 blah. And then you were like, well, have you ever done that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And you're like, could you do that?
You're
I'm
like, I forgot the first two steps.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, wait, no,
Yeah.
no.
So I'm very curious because I had that day and even I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, because that hit me like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
Now I'm guaranteed I don't think my quiet day is going to be like that, but I don't know. I may be surprised. So we've decided to challenge ourselves and to challenge you to an unplugged, quiet day.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean a day of pure isolation, but it means a day of...
It doesn't? I can hang out with friends?
Well, no.
I think
No.
it is pure isolation.
Yeah, well, then maybe it should be pure isolation because I know you. Then you'll get lost in your friends and
I'll
you'll
make
stay
plans.
with them all
Absolutely.
day. You'll make plans. Okay, so we will make it a day of a day at home.
Yeah.
Of enjoying yourself in your home, which
Yes.
I know to you is an oxymoron.
Yes.
Yes, but a day at home, no scrolling. So we're
Yeah.
going to eliminate calls,
Yes.
texts.
We're going to tell our family and friends, like, we are
unplugged.
okay, but we will not be answering the phone today. Or
Yeah.
I think silence notifications even,
Yes.
because that's even distracting.
Complete. No social media.
Yeah.
We will both not work.
No
so
TV,
we will
decided, right?
Yeah, because then you can binge watch
Oh,
Netflix all day.
all day.
Yeah, so no television.
Yeah, so just a day of
Yeah,
mindfulness and maybe a walk or a workout or a reading
Yeah,
or
cooking.
just, nothing
yeah. Make a
that
meal, garden,
does not involve your phone.
journaling.
No phones, no laptops, no TVs.
Yeah, a day for you. How about like at home spa day, sitting in the bath, doing
Yeah.
a facial? That
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, but just
At
it
home.
does sound amazing
Doesn't
while
it?
I'm watching YouTube. Like that would be my, you know what I mean? I'd have
Yeah.
my iPad. Even if I like take a bath, I have my iPad up and I'm, you know.
No.
Yeah.
No, this will be a day of you and your thoughts.
Okay, can we listen to music?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very
Like, 'cause
much
then
so.
you're gonna like send me to the psych ward if I have to be in
Right, but
silent.
I mean, if you have music on all day.
I won't. I
Okay.
promise. I
okay. Yeah. All right, that's fair.
won't. Okay.
All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're going to shoot that. That's gonna be Thursday's video. So we're gonna do it vlog style. You're gonna vlog you. I'm gonna vlog me. And
I think they're gonna be wildly
it's
different.
gonna
and
be
it's gonna be so funny because I'll have to edit these together, and it's
Yes.
gonna be Dom outside in her garden enjoying her life, and it's gonna be me with my eye twitching and just going crazy.
I just want a tear. I just want to see a tear.
Listen.
Do you think that's possible?
Listen, I don't know. Maybe by the end of the day, I might just be crying because I'm so sad and I miss my phone. But I don't know. I'm gonna try to take it seriously and not just try to get through it, but
Yeah.
really just live in it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be crying by the end. We'll see.
Yeah. And here's some things. So I had mentioned earlier that during that day, I would journal and just kind of write down my thoughts. I think that's going to be very helpful for
Okay.
us. And I think very insightful too.
Okay.
To kind of sit in it and identify what's being felt and how you're processing. So some things that we can answer when we are journaling, what emotions come up when we're not being productive. So start just kind of, as you're feeling it, just write down, I'm sad, anxious, bored, whatever it may be. Some things to answer, when I fill every hour of my day, what might I be avoiding? Mm-hmm. Do I feel like I need to earn rest and joy?
Yes.
And why? Am I chasing my goals or am I running from my fears? What would I change if I slowed down and chose intentional stillness? If I remove the noise and busyness, what does my heart actually want? What does success look like to me and not the world around me?
Those are excellent questions to kind of ponder through the day.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really helpful. Let's put those questions in the description of this episode.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to participate and also reflect on these questions
They
or have
can
them
answer
written
them.
down, you guys could have them too. Because I think it'd be cool too if you have maybe a bit more of a flexible schedule.
Yeah.
This podcast comes out on Monday. If you have time, maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday to try it on your own. And then you can kind of compare it to our experience on Thursday and see if there's any relatability between, your experience or mine, and who do you kind of lean more towards, or
Right.
I think that'd be cool.
I think it'd be great. And what I'll do in my journal is I'll write these questions like at the top of the page, and then I'll elaborate on each page, how I'm feeling about that and what my thoughts are.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I love that.
Cool.
Yay.
Okay.
And if you decide to do it, please let us know in the comment section. I would love
Yeah, we'll be so curious to hear
know the feedback.
And what you learn about yourself. Will something like this change how you're operating?
Yeah.
Change how you're thinking? Will it help you to identify, more than anything, maybe some hidden pain and unresolved issues that suddenly are coming to the surface, and you're like, you know what? Maybe it's time that I address these things. And if I can't do it on my own, maybe it's time for me to get some help.
Yeah.
And, it's time to stop running.
Yeah,
from
for
something.
sure. And I think it's so funny too, just how, I think there's obviously going to be a ton of people that can relate to this, but then I feel like there's going to be some people that are like, you guys, I live my life like this every day.
Sure.
I'm so unplugged. Maybe I turn on your podcast for an hour on a Monday, but then really the rest of my life is very unplugged, which kudos to you. But for the rest of us, we're in this together, and it'll be interesting.
It will be. And I'm thank you for being a willing participant in this. I know for you that struggle is going to be real.
Yeah, no, it really is. And again, I can sit here and I laugh and I joke and, but it's not going to be for me a fun day. And I feel like for a lot of people, it's like, oh, you get the day off of work and I just get to sit around and, try to do nothing. And I'm just going to pick up my phone to let everyone know how I'm feeling. But I'm not looking forward to this, if we're being so honest. Do you know what I mean? I love that we're doing it, and I think I need to do it. But it's not something that I'm like, yeah, I get to sit around all day. No. So we'll see. Stay tuned for Thursday. We haven't done it yet, so I don't know how it's going to be at all. I can't even give a hint because we haven't done it. So we're going to do it soon. And then, everyone will see.
Yeah, that you'll be my first call the next morning.
Oh.
Are you alive?
Have to be.
Are you okay?
No. Be like, either I'm going to be, crying, or I'm going to be like, the birds are chirping.
Epiphany!
And
look at me. Look what I've been missing. Why do I have a feeling that's not going to be the case?
We'll see. We will see. Hopefully it's a mixture of both.
Yes. Well, it's going to be exciting, and more than anything, it will be insightful, and we'll teach you a little something about yourself if you choose to participate. And if anything, you'll learn a little bit more about us when you see the video on Thursday. But thank you for joining us for today's episode of Over 50 and Flourishing. That's what's so neat about podcasts, is that literally an interesting subject can be spurred from a conversation, and you never know. So that's why I encourage you all the time to put things in the comment section, things that you're thinking about, any type of an idea. You never know. I mean, we can sit there and kind of go through and glance and think, wow, we have never touched on that subject before.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
All the time, or that we just, in fact, somebody sent us a pitch for the podcast, and I thought, perfect.
Yeah.
We haven't,
the second we think
that.
we've hit everything, it's like
something new comes along.
Yes, you will never run out of things to talk about.
Ever. So we're grateful for any kind of thoughts or input on that. And of course, to rate, review, subscribe, and share if you are listening wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're watching us on Facebook, I'm everywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, please, if you wouldn't mind, subscribe to this channel. It's free. You get notified simply by email from YouTube that I've released a podcast on Mondays and a YouTube video on Thursdays, and that's it. But it just makes you a part of what I consider this incredible, beautiful community of women who just want to live their best lives and just looking for content and inspiration to help them get there. So thanks for being here. Thanks for trusting me, and look forward to seeing you, on Thursday first.
Eek.
Good luck with your experiment if you choose to do it. Bye.
Bye.
You guys know I recently got hair extensions, and one of the first things my stylist said is, you need to sleep with a silk pillowcase to prevent matting and tangles. Well, I went right to the best, and that's Blissy. Not only will my hair not get tangled and matted, but I will see healthier skin in weeks. Silk is better than satin, which is made from synthetics. That's rough on hair and skin, and it's cheap for a reason. And bonus, my menopause ladies, naturally cooling and breathable. So no more hot flashes or flipping the pillow to the cool side in the middle of the night. I have seen such a big difference since I started sleeping with Blissy. I'm so happy. And because you're a listener, Blissy is offering 60 nights risk-free plus an additional 30% off when you shop at blissy.com/over50pod. That's BLISSY.com/over50pod and use code over50pod to get an additional 30% off. Your skin and your hair will thank you.